Welcome, everybody, back again to another episode of Heroes on the Mat. Today, I have Jonathan Rivera from Lowell, Massachusetts, working for Lowell Police Department and active competitor in all things combat sports. I'm very excited to dive in today. I think he's going to have a great message and a great story and a great match on June 8th. Jonathan, how you doing?
Doing good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
When did you sign up for your first MMA fight?
2 years ago, I was
Really?
doing, I was doing jujitsu. I grew up wrestling since I was 14 years old. I did pretty well. I was a two-time state champion in high school. I had a lot of people that I admired. I was always into like sports and stuff like that. I had a cousin that was a good wrestler, good football player. I had another cousin, actually two twins that were Golden Glove champions, and I used to go watch them fight all the time. So, watching those guys and growing up, and my dad was kind of like a Marine, jarhead, tough guy. He just got me into sports right away, which I love. I love competition. But
Nice.
the MMA, going back to it, is I got out of shape and I wanted to learn how to do striking. I honestly, I always kind of like envisioned myself if I was ever and I've been in a lot of confrontations, hands on and policing, but I'm like, man, it'd be nice to kick somebody in the leg in time to take them out like a madman. So I went to a gym in Nashville, New Hampshire called Karasu Tengu Academy, and I started doing kickboxing. And after a couple of months, man, I was kind of doing well with the guys. They're like, hey, why don't you take a fight? I'm like, why not, man? So
Wow. So
yeah,
that was only 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
And you're 38 now, so you were 36 when you had your first ever
Yep,
MMA
yep,
fight.
yep, yep,
Amazing,
yeah.
amazing. Most people would never have the courage to do that.
Yeah, it's honestly I like the UFC too, and I've always been a guy that's always watched, and I kind of get pissed off when like people lose and like, oh, that guy sucks. I'm like, well, dude, you don't know like the ins and outs of like the training. Maybe that guy went into that fight hurt, sick, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to experience that whole thing, like the nerves. Being in the backstage,
Right.
you're so nervous. You have the anxiety. You can't even move sometimes, but you just tell yourself, hey, it's time to go. So I just kind of wanted to, like I said, I want to experience all this stuff. So like when my son gets older. Obviously, I want him to be an engineer and do good academically. But if you ever go the path that and I do want him to go the competition path because I think it's good for kids, to
I
be
agree.
able to defend himself if when I'm not around. So I want to give him the proper guidance. Like I said, I grew up wrestling and I saw parents kind of yelling at the kids, "Hey, be tough." No, this is how you be tough. You have to channel your mindset. This is how you prepare for it. So I just want to have the experience so I can give it to him.
Mhm. And you said you have that you're doing that for your kid. You have kids? Like, how old are your kids?
I have a son. Yes, he's 7 years old, and he's doing swimming. I want him to get into triathlons, baseball, everything. I want him to be a part of every community.
Nice. You
Yeah,
know
and
what's
he's doing
funny is
jujitsu. Yeah, he'll come up as soon as I get. I'll kind of be playfully fighting with my wife. He'll come up to me and give me a leg kick. So he's defending his mother too, and he's kind of a hands-on kid already. So I like it.
that's great. I
Yeah.
have my two boys in jujitsu, 3 and 5.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
every time we'll be there today later on the Saturday class. Every time I throw them in there, it's hilarious. And then
Yep.
sometimes they'll do some live sparring too. I mean, it's 5-year-olds,
Yep.
but every once in a while, I'll see like that shot of testosterone go up for the 5-year-olds, like as in a small body, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, he's got that dog in him.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because one of the guys I train with, he's only 22 years old, Mike Jolliker, but the kid's a standout. I think he's got two belts in amateur. He's gonna go pro soon, but this kid, he has his son that goes to the gym as well. While we're training, we'll look over and inside of the cage, we have a cage inside our gym, and our kids, they already have their gloves on and they're just punching each other, trying to take each other down. I'm like, look at these kids, man, and it's fun for them. Obviously they're not punching each other in the head, but they're just grappling and it's a safe
Yeah.
environment. Yeah, but I
The
love
new
that they get.
generations.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I like it.
No, that's great. That's good to hear, man. So, how did you hear about Heroes on the Mat?
Instagram, I saw it. I love, like I said, I love competitions. And I saw it on Instagram. And I'm like, man, why not? I'm the type of guy that likes to like go to a different place and kind of like venture off, walk around, and if I can compete, I can compete. I did something for the military. It was main invitational. It was kind of like an 8-man bracket. You can win money
Mhm.
if you like, if you win a tournament. I got second place, but it was kind of cool just going to Maine and just kind of like representing, the police department. I guess I like to represent, my profession.
Mhm.
Like
Gotcha.
next Saturday, I'm actually doing a boxing charity event versus a state trooper. So
Oh wow, okay. That's
yeah,
grappling or MMA?
boxing. So
Okay,
yeah, I'm all over the place, man.
that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
So
just yeah,
active competitor, active
yep,
father, active police officer. How long have you been on the job for?
14 years.
14. Okay.
Yep, yep,
And how has your experience been in law enforcement navigating the ups and downs? Because in the last 14
yep.
years, a lot's changed. Things have gone
Uh,
up, things have gone down. I mean, I have 10
100%.
years on right now and I see it right now. How do you see law enforcement as it is today? Hopefully, maybe getting better, getting worse. What's your opinion on it?
So I love the job. I think it's changing a little bit with like the administration. I start to see like from everywhere that they're a little bit micromanaging and stuff like that. I'm kind of an old school police officer where um, we have body cameras, and I don't like the body cameras because it kind of changes like the police officer's mentality when he's talking to an individual. I like to speak to somebody like how I'm speaking to you right now, and they relate. But I see some other police officers that are just kind of like they get into like a robotic state, and I'm like, that's not genuine, man. They can feel that. Like I had situations like two times, like talking somebody off from jumping off a bridge, and it was like very like how I am, and my policing is like domestic, right? If you can get two parties that are kind of calmed down, I like to sit them down together and hey, how can we fix this? Opposed to just go in, grab their name, hey, oh, oh, this is how you can get a restraining order, okay, so one of you guys has got to leave. Yeah, you're doing a report, you document it, but you're not fixing the issue right there. Um,
Mhm.
so, like I said, I like to sit down and talk to people and communicate. I think that that's the old school policing, and that's what my father had taught me. And that's why they loved the cops back then that used to walk the beat.
Right.
Because they got to know that guy. They knew him from his first. Hey, don't call me Officer Rivera, call me John. You know,
Yeah.
and I think we've
Absolutely.
gotten away from that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it might be you said the term micromanaging a little bit.
Yep.
Especially I've seen it too with in my department. I shouldn't really talk too bad because they've been good about it, but you could see the
Yeah.
dichotomy of it. If
Yeah.
there's a micromanaged element, once the camera comes on, you're always thinking, am I going to get in trouble for cursing right now?
Exactly.
But
Yep.
you're cursing not at the person, you're cursing with the person. Does that make sense? Like
A 100%.
I could tell you have the gift of gab. Like
Yeah.
I could tell you have it. And if you didn't have the gift, like you've acquired that skill over many years.
And
Like
you have to. You have to. It's
yes.
survival. It's communicating with somebody. Yeah, understanding. And that's why I got into policing. It's kind of it's weird. Why'd you get into policing? Well, I wanted to understand. Like, I went through a lot in life, and like I just kind of wanted to help people. That's a cliche, comment. I want to help people, but I wanted to feel like I wanted to understand what everybody's suffering and try to help. You know what I'm saying? I'll be to me a police officer is a punching bag. You're gonna deal with all these emotions and bring it home, and you just got to be tough enough mentally to just stay on point. It is a tough job. It really is. And my wife's a firefighter as well, and she didn't understand when we first got married. Like my kind of like how I was thinking. Like I'll go to the mall and I'm like, all right, in case something happens, you got to go over here, over there movie theaters. I get a little bit anxious because in case something happens, I'm always an overthinker, and now she's the same way. She's been on for 10 years as a firefighter.
Okay.
So
Amazing.
yeah,
So with that police career, you have 14 years on. How much have you thought about what you're going to do afterwards? How much time you're going to stay on? Because 14 years, some people who are watching this, they're only 2, 3, 5 years. Like the job is changing all
yeah.
around. There's a lot of people that are just joining. What would be
Yep.
your advice to somebody who's like at that 3 or 5 year mark and not maybe up to yours?
Just stay positive. It can be a little bit toxic environment with like the older guys. Hey, a little bit disgruntled, or like I said, when I first came on, I came on with another a police officer. And I remember he was kind of like, man, these older guys, we were on late nights. They forced us to go to late nights, and it was horrible. I hated it. But I did it for a whole year. And I kind of already knew like some guys, maybe they didn't want to go out there and work. They just kind of wanted to go to their calls and that's it. I'm like, but you don't, like, he would be like, man, these guys are so lazy. But I'm like, you don't understand what he's been through already in this police department. maybe he went to a unit, got kicked out, and just said, and I was part of that too. I was in narcotics, and I didn't get along with the boss, so obviously he took me out of the unit, and I went back to patrol, and patrol's awesome. I love patrol. I think it was one of the better units because now you don't have to kind of answer to nobody. You just go to your calls, and that's it. At the end of the shift, you're done. Opposed to a guy in narcotics or a criminal, like, you got to pick up that phone call every time they need you. Um, but just stay positive. Work your details, save your money, and that's it. Just and treat everybody with respect. I see a lot of kids. They get on, they get the power a little bit, and just understanding that you're not going to be appreciated all the time. I think that's a major thing too. I only got one thank you from my policing career, and that was from a kid that I had to section numerous times, and it was kind of a crazy situation. He was having a mental episode, and he was in the basement. And the mother says, "Hey, he might have a rifle." She didn't know if it was fake or not. So I went in with another police officer. It was dark, and it was a crazy situation where I had my firearm out. My partner had his taser, and I kind of diverted. We separated downstairs in the basement. We see him behind the couch, and I'm calling out to the kid. I'm trying to talk to him, and my partner is trying to get behind him so he can tase him, and freaking my partner trips. And at the moment, I see the kid get up, and I just bull rush. I grab the thing and I just pushed him down to the ground. That's where
Oh, so
jujitsu
he
came
had
from.
he had the rifle.
Yeah, but it ended up being like an airsoft rifle. It was fake, but at the time, we didn't
Still,
know,
you
and
don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I think jujitsu is huge, and I don't see much of it in policing because some guys, oh, I'll just use my whatever weapon that I have. I've never used a pepper spray. I've never used a taser. God, thank God, But I've always been able to kind of control the situation hands on, and I think jujitsu, learning how to manipulate the hands and controlling the hands and controlling the body, it's huge. It's huge in this profession.
I actually think that if more cops trained, even not even wrestling,
Yep.
jujitsu, judo, something, there
Right.
would probably be way less injuries, both for perps, subjects,
Yeah.
victims, and cops.
100%. Yeah. Like I said, I've been in so many stuff like where I had to go hands on. It's kind of weird. Like I'm used to like grappling guys that know how to defend stuff, and then once you go into
Yeah.
public, you grab somebody's wrist, like you're like, holy god, that was kind of easy. All right, that's but I don't know. It's just the stupid mentality of a police officer. I'll just resort to a taser. I'll just tase him. Yeah, but what if you can't?
What
Now
if it
that's
doesn't
why the
work?
firearm comes out because they panic and when it shouldn't probably.
Yeah. I've seen that taser not work a couple times.
100%. When I
Whether the
was
prongs didn't connect or whatever, and now what?
heavy clothing, it doesn't work.
Yep.
Now what do you do?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
true.
You said something interesting before. You kind of glossed over it, and I listened to it, and I was like, "That's a big deal." You said you had two instances where you had to talk people off of a bridge.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. And honestly, that's out of my career, like out of all the arrests, that was probably the most like important. I feel and I'll always remember that because I remember like where we're from, we have multiple bridges, and it's a common thing that guys and females will go over there and kind of they'll jump off. So I remember like just and I always my thing is this: I'll go up to you, and it's freaking hard because you don't know how to relate to this person. This person obviously is having a horrible time. They don't want to see police. So I kind of like I will sit down next to them and I'll just pour out my heart as well. Like, hey, you tell me what's going on. I've been through some crap too, and I try to get to them. I try to relate to them, and it's not like tricky or anything like that. It's actually just having a conversation with that person, and it was kind of that's why I feel accomplished because I was able to get to that person's heart twice. Two different people, and I was able to like kind of calm them down and convince them to go to the hospital. So
That's
yeah, I
big,
don't
man.
care about the yeah.
I was gonna say I mean, you say that to a civilian, and they're gonna be like, "What the?" I'm on the job, and you're telling me that. That's two times. That's
Yeah.
you like you clearly have something. Like
It's
you
it's
have
just
something.
relating, man. And I'm not a special person, but I like to like this is what I think police should be like. Us having a conversation right now, just being genuine people. I feel like we want to give out tickets. No, I don't care about the tickets and stuff like that. I want to get to to help people. And I know times have changed and stuff like that. But yeah, that's how I am, buddy. I, I guess I'm a weird dude.
Nah, no, you're not. You're not. You're not. You're something that's very needed in police work.
And I thank my
It's
father.
missing.
I
Yeah.
thank my father because 32 years and they still love the guy. My dad was like that, give, you know, people breaks. You don't have to arrest everybody. My dad was a very good person and people loved him. And like I said, he learned the old school way of like, talking to people, relating to them, giving people an opportunity. And that's why like I don't like the cameras because you can't give people breaks anymore. You feel like, hey, if I cut
Tough.
them loose, it's gonna get back to me and I'm gonna get in trouble. Now, so it is tough. But
Yeah. I feel like because the matter of the fact is, at least in my department, the cameras are here to stay. I don't
yeah,
think they're ever going anywhere.
I don't think so either.
I really hope that what you were talking about before, administration leadership can see and understand that. Listen, police officers, people on the street need to have the ability and the confidence to know that things that they say and things that they do are not going to be always taken at face value on the camera, but instead maybe ask that cop or ask that street cop or detective or whatever, why did you say this? Why did you do what you
Yeah.
do? We just want to know because we want to understand how that result came about. Perfect example is if you're speaking to somebody on the street and they're using let's say they're using a lot of curse words, a lot of lingo and things like that, and you're trying to meet them at their level and not be completely unprofessional, but like maybe you throw in a couple F bombs or this or that, something like that. But like I said, you're not cursing at them, you're cursing with them. And to the general public, if they FOIL request that video, they're going to be like, look at this cop. He's got
Yep.
no, he's got a potty mouth on him. But really, it goes even deeper because it's like there's levels to the game of connecting with people. And I like that. You don't see a lot of that on the job now of
No.
people being free to speak with somebody else and connect with people. And it could relate to talking somebody off of a bridge. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And like I said, this job is about being professional, which I love. But like, speaking to people from the streets, we have a different slang, in Lowell, like, the way that people communicate is different. And it's hard for like I feel like a lot of people in the streets, like I said, like, a lot of my family members are like from the streets, so it's kind of hard when like somebody's trying to like speak properly to them and they're like, what do you think you're better than me, type of thing. Like you just be yourself,
Yeah.
let it
Yep.
flow.
Yep.
And a police officer in their mindset's like, sir, ma'am, which is good, I like that, but sometimes just, hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
It's just different, and they can feel it, they can sense it.
Yeah. I want to bring it back to something you said earlier when we first started is you feel like you're kind of like the older guy now and that you see a lot of people your age, especially with kids, are not doing something active or they're not keeping up with themselves. What would be your advice to people who are like in your age range that want to do something, even if it's not jujitsu?
It's going to be scary because you don't want to get hurt and stuff like that, but just go in and do it. Like I said, oh, you're 38. Why are you fighting? I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be 70 years old. I might get cancer. You think I'm just gonna give up? I'm gonna fight every freaking day that I can. Sickness, whatever happens in life, I'm prepared to just fight. And it's sad because people just kind of like they're living this lifestyle of like, oh, whatever happens, happens. I'm like, no, you can control a lot of this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'm into like the competition stuff, but like it's just anything. You can go for a walk. You can go for my personality, and my wife knows it too. I want to be like a 7-year-old guy that's doing a marathon. I want to do a triathlon. I want to get after it because it just takes you to a different level mentally, and I love that feeling. I want to be a different person. I want to feel like there's something I couldn't do. Hey, I did it, man. I love the feeling of accomplishment. You're just pushing yourself.
Mhm.
So
I
this
think it's
stuff, I love it, man.
important. I think
Yeah,
it's important for first responders too, especially once you hit like that 5 year mark.
yeah,
They call them the 3 year salty cop, the 5 year salty cop. I feel like
right.
you could go one direction or the other. You can go become that cop that becomes quintessential, alcoholic or
Yep,
overweight.
yep.
And listen, that stuff happens fast, man, and it'll creep up on you real quick. And it's
And it
never too
happened.
late to start.
You're right. It happened to me, and that's why I got it back into like kind of like I like I said, I did the wrestling thing, and I was lifting. I got up to like 215 pounds like after overnights when I first started. And I started off in the academy at like 175 in great shape, and just the food and like you said the negativity that some people do have. I gained all the weight and I didn't want to work out, and that's I got back into jiu-jitsu because another cop said, "Hey, I started doing jiu-jitsu. I think I could take you down." I'm like, what? You can't take me down. I'm not gonna let you take me down. So I went to the gym, and that's why I got hooked again.
Something switched right there, right? You're
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
he's a state trooper now, but
yeah,
he's a good kid.
nice. That's a little bit. I could relate a lot. I went from patrol to the detective squad, and going from out on the street to in a desk in a chair.
Yep,
Had three kids back to back. I was probably 170, 175, same weight. Man, it felt like that. I was like 210, two
yep,
fifteen.
yep,
And I would look at myself, I'm disgusting. And I still
yep.
probably got like 10 more pounds to lose. But signing up for the first Heroes on the Mat is what got me back into training like a
That's
lot.
awesome.
I would train probably like as much as I could. I had three
Right.
kids running around,
Hey.
but once a month, something like that. And it got me back into gear. And it's funny because that slippery slope comes up quick. Like
Yep.
for people that are even not even just law enforcement, just first responders in general, life is hard, work is hard, but what's harder is letting yourself go or not focusing on yourself.
Yep, 100%. Like going back to it, I was starting to get heartburn. I've always, and I'm like, man, why am I getting heartburn all the time? And as soon as I started working out again, I haven't had heartburn again.
Yeah.
So it just show, yeah, it's true. And honestly, other people, I know what I'm doing right now is it's kind of like it's changing my son's mentality of being competition, and also my wife. My wife got into jujitsu, and she loves it. You know, something that she would have
Awesome.
never, yeah, so she's doing jiu-jitsu. And I have a nephew that just went to the military. And like I said, if I can like kind of gear my like change people's like lives in that manner, like, hey, let's get after mentality. And I'm not saying I'm hey, be like me. Just whatever you want in life, man, go after it. And if you're gonna go after it, go 100 miles per hour.
It's an
So
excellent message. So talk a little bit about your match coming up. What weight are you going to be at? What skill level?
it's 165 up, 160, 165, I believe. I'm a brown belt. I know the guy that I'm competing against is a brown belt as well. He might be an MMA fighter. I don't want to say his name because I might butcher it, but I think it's last name Singh.
Okay. Yep.
He looks like a tough kid. He looks like he's training a lot, so it looks like it's going to be an interesting bout.
Excellent. Yeah, listen, the first event was incredible. First event was a lot of fun. Second event, it's getting hyped up a lot. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And you're not local. Like you
No.
said, you just found it on Instagram and you
Yeah.
signed up. I feel like it's starting to work like the networking effect, this
Yep.
event. I really think in the future this will be something countrywide, different. You will already see different states. There was a guy in Canada that wanted to sign up. I don't know if he signed up yet, but it's a cool thing to see. So for anybody who's watching right now, we kind of went through a little bit of your story about what you do. What would be your message to people who are either going to watch your match or are just going to be interested in this event in general?
Like I said, just enjoy it, man. These like even if you're a police officer and you're thinking about doing it and you haven't committed yet, why not? Spend a day with your family in that area, compete, and then out or afterwards walk around. That's what me and my family, we love to experience a lot of new stuff. So we're gonna go to a new area. I'll get a match in, and we'll walk around again. This is really like I said, I love all this stuff. I love competition. I think it brings people together. I get to meet new people. I get to meet you. Um, just have fun. And like I said, I'm a go getter. I'm gonna. He looks like he's gonna have a good gas tank. I'm gonna be pushing as well. Just got to be smart. He looks like he's gonna go for my legs though. He's gonna be tickling my feet. So
Oh,
I'll be
okay.
ready. I'll
Yeah.
be ready for that.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
good. Listen, I'm excited to watch.
Yep. Yep.
You're hyping me up. You gonna bring your family to the event?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We'll pack up. And
Nice.
we'll head over.
Last
Me.
event I brought my wife, I brought my two boys. It was a blast. It was good.
Yeah, we love doing that. It's a getaway too. It's kind of a reset for us. I get to compete. I do something I like, and they'll be in my corner and stuff like that. And then we'll just kind of venture off in the area.
So cool, man. So
Yeah.
cool. Awesome. And if you're watching this and you like this content, like, comment, and subscribe. We have to get more people subscribed. Most people that watch are not subscribed. So if you subscribe and hit the bell notification, you will get notifications for any show that comes out in the future. Now, Jonathan, would you like to plug anybody that you work out with? Any gym? Who are you around? Who are you going to shout out right now?
Yep. Two gyms. First is KTA Academy, Karasu Tengu Academy. The coach is Walter Catito Smith, and my training partners Tyree Durham, Mike Jolliker, James Johnson, Corey O'Reilly. What do we got here? Mike Marakin, Jake Ferry, and also our manager, Alyssa. And another gym is Gorilla Fitness with Jake Pilla, Joey Navarro, Tristan Wood, and also Joseph Peters. So
Amazing. If
thank
you
you
guys
guys
are
for
watching that
having me.
right now, if you guys are watching right now and you saw that shout out or you heard that shout out, go in there, comment, like, subscribe. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's go.
Let's go.
Well, listen, Jonathan, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for coming on and telling people what you do, what your story is, and about your match coming up on June 8th. It's going to be excited. Glad to see you there.